please, my people, let's do better and pay our own kind. I just love this conversation so much. I should have done this video a long time ago. Oh my goodness. Okay. Point number, I think we're number 4 now, or number 5. I stopped keeping track. I think it's number 5. So this one is a big one. This one is a big one. Listen, if you're gonna do business in the DRC, you have to be here full time at least the first year or 2. I think a lot of people, all of us are guilty of this. I've made this mistake before, and I've been in the DRC now for almost 2 years full time. Yes, I like to travel here and there, as you guys see in my travel content. But in all truth, people used to tell me that all the time, and I didn't believe them. I was like, there's no way. Like, I was like, no, like, it can be. Today's world, there's technology, there's phone, there's WhatsApp, blah, blah, blah. You guys, the first year or 2, you have to be here full time. It's just the truth. You just cannot escape it. And the reason why, it's actually very simple why. And I'm gonna explain it to you, simply put. Okay? There's a few reasons. Number 1, this country doesn't really have a system. So what does that mean? For those of you watching this video, you likely live in the West, whether it's Europe or North America. When you buy something online, it gets delivered to your house. That online purchase is linked to your credit card, your bank card. So you cannot lie to that website and say, oh, I didn't buy it. Oh no, I don't know where it went. You can't even buy the product unless you insert your card information. Your card is linked to your social security number. It's linked to your address. The Western world has so much data on us that it's almost impossible to lie to the system at this point. And I think all of this to say, the entire mechanism is in such a way that you don't even need to know who owns the company from which you're buying from, because it's just, the system is built that way. Now, this is super important to discuss because the DRC, on the other hand, because it's a heavy cash-based economy, which I talk about that a lot, and there's a reason why I talk about that a lot, is because if you want to do business here, you have to be aware of those dynamics. And because it's so cash-based intensive, because it's such a corrupted economy, because, let's be honest, a lot of people don't always follow through on their word, doing business in this country is based on trust. So I cannot stress this enough. You have to do business here based on trust. This is why I will say the first thing you do when you hire in Congo, you have to hire someone that you trust. This person doesn't have to be the most educated, but they have to be someone that you can trust. And to me, I always say, someone that can steal from you is someone that can kill you. So this is the truth here, is that the DRC, there's just no system in place. There's no monitoring. There's no flow of you pay this, you pay, like there is, but it's less than 10% of the economy. So when you're in that kind of environment and you're starting a business, it's very hard to do that remotely. So that's why it's really important for you to be here in person. And number 2, as much as we're in the 21st century, a lot of people here are still archaic in how they do business. They always want you to come in person. A good example are banks. Like, the amount of time I've had to waste my time to go to some government office to get a document or to the bank to get some stupid ass paperwork that could have been done online. It literally could have been done online and I could have sent it by PDF. They don't want that. They want you to be in person. So that's already a blocker. Another big thing, like I said earlier, because it's a cash-based economy, when customers are paying for you to monitor that money, because if you turn a blind eye, how many stories have we heard? Oh, I started this boutique, I started this salon, and I let my friend run it. Within 6 months, the business shut down. So you have to be here for that for the time being. And I think another reason why you have to be here is it lets you understand the culture. I think a lot of us are originally Congolese, but we have to be honest, we grew up in the West. We're a little detached from the reality of this country. So when you're here, in the day-to-day, there's certain barriers that you get to understand that if you're remote, you can get easily frustrated with those that work for you locally, and you think that they're lying to you, and some probably are, But a lot of times they may not be. There are certain barriers that they face that because you're not here, you're not aware. So I would highly advise you to be here day to day for at least the first 2 years and not do what a lot of people do. They start something, they're not even there every day. They're there like once a week or once every 2 weeks and they call it a business. No, like the first year or two, you gotta be here. Like my team starts work at 8 o'clock. I'm at the office usually at 6:30, 7 a.m. Like, no joke. Like, they leave at 5, I leave at 8 p.m. Call me crazy, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So I really cannot stress this enough. And the last point I was also gonna make, and I made this point before, I think, is another reason why it's important for you to be here is we don't understand the magnitude of which the lack of education system in this country has really messed up a lot of people. The labor in the DRC is not the best labor, right? Like you go to other African countries like Kenya, South Africa, Tanzania, these guys, the mass speaks English. Kenya, most people have a high school degree and speak Swahili. So what does education do for the average person? It gives them critical thinking, right? And I'm not saying education as in a PhD, but like the basic, like high school, of a good high school degree, most people in Congo do not have that. What does that look like in the day-to-day? When you hire the average person, they don't think critically. So something as basic as you see garbage right there, pick it up. A lot of people, they just don't. They walk by it and they work for your store. Like you're like, you gotta tell them like, when you see garbage, pick it up. So these things will frustrate you if you are not here day to day to correct it in the minute. So I really think it's important for you to be here the first while when you start a business. And again, it goes back to my previous point. It depends what kind of business. If you're doing real estate and you have a way of getting the tenants to pay you or pay your mom or dad that are living here, I think that's totally fine. But if you're doing a business that's very active in the day-to-day, I think the first 2 years, you need to be here full time or else your money is going to go down the drain. That's just my experience and my opinion. Another point that I just added that was not on my list, that I was like, phew, let me talk about this one. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, okay, the business world, this one is gonna rub some people the wrong way. Here's the thing with doing business. The majority of doing a business is all documentation. People don't realize running a business, the majority of what you do is documenting. Business is purely much admin. 70% of your business is admin. And I think what I've noticed with most people, and myself included, and again, I don't want to rub some people the wrong way, but I find a lot of people, and I find this is common with a lot of Black people, and I'm guilty of this, is we're very creative, which is amazing. That's why when you look at culture, who sets the best culture in the world? We do. Let's be honest. We're the most trendy. Let's be honest. That's why we're amazing at marketing. I think Black people are the most amazing at marketing and heck, even sales. So I think that's something that we have to acknowledge, that we're very good at naturally because we're good talkers. And I think Congolese people, we love life. We're full of life. Like one thing about Kinshasa, if you're coming for vacation, you're gonna have a good time. Living, that's another different story, but vacation, you'll love it because it's so fun. It was such a fun culture. But the reality is I find the downfall of people that tends to be good at the marketing, the trendy, are people that are often led by emotions and they're not always the best at things like facts, things like structure, things like documentation. And the truth of the matter is a business is all about processes. And I think this is something that a lot of people need to work on. And that's why in the link below where I give you guys the business plan, the subsheet has a second subsheet of a basic table that I made for you guys to just track your expenses in your business. I think it's so important as Congolese people when we do business to get better at this. And I really cannot stress this enough, especially when you're hiring people. I think this is a pattern that I've seen is people start businesses. Your staff, it's like you expect your staff to know what to do. Like When your staff starts a job, they need to know what they're documenting. They need to know how they're reporting it. You need to set that up. Like, I'm gonna give you a basic example. If you have a salon where people come to do hair, I'm expecting you as a business owner to have a basic sheet on paper that has dates, name of customer, what service did they get, how much did they pay, who is the one that approved the transaction, signature and dated. That should be like on your salon like desk whenever the customer exits the salon. Like, and that's what your team gets measured on. Literally, I think sometimes when we run businesses, we like the novelty of starting a business, the idea of a business, the bragging of owning a business. But in all truth, don't let anybody lie to you. Owning a business comes down to your revenue, so how much money you're making, and then minus your expenses, which is your profit. And then another part of sort of running a business is that database, is what I call database. Data could be on paper, could be on your phone, I don't care. It's the ability to really prove on paper as well as based on dollars that I've had X amount of customers that paid this much, this is how much it is to run my business, and this is how much I'm making. That's the fundamental. And I think a lot of people, when they run businesses in Congo, literally they hire people to do a job. The people that you're hiring, you're not even giving them a job description. It's not even clear what they're supposed to do day to day. You're not measuring what they're doing. Like, when they're doing a job, how are you measuring that they're gonna succeed or not? Like, you gotta have metrics for people. When people come to you for a job, they're there to do a job. You cannot share your passion with people. That's like them loving your business like you do. That's not their job. Like, they're there to get paid and deliver. You are there to capitalize on their talents. That's literally what being a founder is. Like, you're paying people for their labor and their time. Well, hello, capitalism. But you gotta pay people well, which is my next point. Goodness is being shared right now, but I feel like I'm getting too preachy. So this is gonna be my last point. Well, my second last point. You guys, you want to run a successful business in Congo, you gotta pay people well. Here's the thing. I think for some sad reason in this country, and I'm gonna be honest, I blame Congolese people more than I blame the Lebanese, the Indians, and all these other people that come here. Because these other cultures have learned to torture Congolese people because of what they've seen Congolese people do to their own kind, which is not okay. I think we've made it okay to start a business in Congo, not pay our own people well, and justify it. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that you're gonna start a business and pay a gardener $1,000 a month. Hello, come on. That's not even realistic. However, be so for real. Many people that start businesses in Congo, first of all, you don't even have a calculation for your runway time. Runway is simple. It basically means you do a basic math. I'm gonna start a restaurant. I think my restaurant is gonna need 4 servers and a cashier. So that's 5 people. Those 5 people, I'm gonna pay each of them $200. So 200 multiplied by 5. My math sucks. I think that's 1,000. I think. So you then do the math. All right. So that's pretty much standard here in Kinshasa for how much servers make. So you then do that, and then you say, based on past history, most restaurants, before they become lucrative, it takes about, I don't know, I'm just making it up, 2 years. That means you do the math. For the next 2 years, so $1,000 multiplied by 12 is 12,000 bucks, multiplied by 2 years is 24,000, plus rent, plus electricity, those government people that are gonna come harass you for taxes, all these things. You gotta have a number of, okay, I'm gonna need this much for 2 years before I become profitable. And in that number, your staff needs to be a priority, because ladies and gentlemen, how do we expect people to be motivated to do a good job when they're not well paid? And it's very sad that we've normalized that in our culture, where a lot of people start businesses here. They give people this false belief that, oh, you know, you can work for me and then I'll pay you once I'm profitable. First of all, most businesses fail. Most businesses fail. Like, businesses have a high failing rate. So you selling that is unrealistic. Number two, this is a country that has a very high risk rate given the political instability. So you cannot make that promise to people. And I really think third, all of us, I hate to say it, we're all motivated by money. I don't care how good of a Samaritan you are, how good of a heart you have. We are humans. We are motivated by capital, one way or the other, because money is what allows you to pay the bills. Money is what allows you to have healthcare. Money is what allows you to have food on your table, unless you live in a village where you grow your own food in the backyard. But ladies and gentlemen, the moment you engage someone in working for you, you owe it to that person to pay them. And I think part of running a successful business in Congo is you budgeting that. And I think that that's a huge conversation that people need to start having. And I know some of you are going to be like, well, I don't have any money, blah, blah. I'm not like you. I don't have, like, I'm sorry that I sold you this lie. I ain't no millionaire. However, I pay people decent based on some of the savings that I've made. And I make sure that I engage in cash flow businesses. Get it? It's cash flow. So there's influx of cash. Even if it's a small amount of money, whatever I make, I always pay my staff first. Because when my staff is paid, let me tell you what happens. They're performing incredibly. When they come to work, I have a very basic Excel sheets. I have basic documents that they have to document every day. We check inventory every week. Everything is documented. The moment $10 leaves my hands, you have to sign a piece of paper that acknowledges that I give you $10. This is what it's like to run a business. Documentation, and compensation. So no, you cannot sell people this dream of giving them a percentage of the company once you become profitable, when you know damn well that this country is so high risk, you don't know when you'll be profitable. So please, my people, let's do better and pay our own kind. Please.
Yeah, je viens à peine d'atterrir.
A lot of talking. B-sap juice from the DRC. But to close out my video, here are the industries that I think are by far the most in demand and I think going to be the most lucrative. Now, I think these industries have always been the most lucrative, I'm going to be honest. But I really think the next 10 years, I really think this is going to be the most critical for the DRC. Now, I just want to preface, as a service approach to these industries, I think it's less costly to begin. However, tapping into those sectors as a service base may be a little harder. But product based or industrialization wise, I think that's where the moneymaker is in these industries, but more costly in terms of entry in these sectors. So let's begin. Number one, I think, is agriculture. I think we always talk about agriculture, like agriculture. No, like real talk, the country is massive. I think now that Sudan is divided, in terms of surface area, I think the DRC is the second largest country in Africa now. I think, don't quote me on that, but I think I heard it somewhere. We have so much land and most of it is just not used. So I think agriculture is a huge one. There's no reason why there's a famine issue in this country. And the thing that's insane, like I said earlier, there's more demand than there's supply. So what I mean by that is this, a very basic example. I came across this corn manufacturing plant in the Katanga region, which by the way, I really want to go visit. These guys make over 40 ton of corn, I think every 2 weeks or every week. 48 ton. And let me tell you, they're not even serving 5% of the entire country population. Because in Katanga, literally corn is like their water. Like they eat it so much as part of the culture. And it's such a lucrative business These guys are now millionaires that own this factory. But let me tell you, to start something like that, the cost, whoo, honey, at least $10 million to build a manufacturing plant to buy over 3,000 hectares. And the good thing about that business, though, that I think is brilliant, corn grows so fast. It grows every 3 months. But again, agriculture, this is one thing about agriculture that I don't like, is it's very costly to start in agriculture if you want to scale. Yes, you can start little by little. So what some people do is they get land, they start planting 10 hectares, 50 hectares, 20, which is nice, but let's be honest, if you want to make hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions, you're not going to do that with small hectares. So in agriculture, the rule of thumb in the game is the more you harvest in terms of hectares, the more you reap in terms of dollars. So agriculture, I think, is massive for the DRC. Second one is infrastructure. It's a no-brainer. The country just doesn't have any infrastructure. So if you're anybody in the construction industry, anyone in energy, anyone in little even engineering, like engineers make banks here. Like they make 30% of every contract. So if you have, say you want to build, I don't know, you want to build 10 houses for like a community where people are going to rent those houses, and you want to build like copy and paste houses. It's actually not that expensive to build those kind of houses, but you need engineers to do that. So for every piece of material you buy to build those houses, these engineers will charge you 30%, which is negotiable. However, that's quite high and brilliant of these engineers. Infrastructure, I think, is massive. I think another one is healthcare. That's my industry. Whoop whoop. Healthcare is a no-brainer. Now, when I say healthcare, I think whenever people think of healthcare, they think of like public hospitals, but it's just not feasible. The public sector here sucks, and they can't seem to handle hospitals for the life of them. So if you go towards the private side of the hospital, when I say by private side, I don't mean the administrative part of the hospital. I mean more you providing tools to hospitals. So things that are like small diagnostic tools that are not bulky, that are not heavy. If you are the one supplying them with it, better yet, if you have a manufacturer that makes those tools, even better. Or you're a supplier of hospital tools, it's a game changer. Another big one I think is pharmaceuticals. You never go wrong when you're in the pharmaceutical business. That being said, the pharmaceutical industry is also very costly, and the biggest money maker in pharmaceutical is in the molecule, the drugs, right? So that's why in the supply chain of pharmaceutical, the people that win the most are the people that make the drugs. Congo, I think we have maybe 2 or 3 manufacturers made locally. The rest of our drugs are imported from India and Belgium. So there's an opportunity there. Another industry, this one is no surprising, but I know nothing about this industry, is mining. Mining has always been our thing. The Lord has blessed us, yet cursed us with having one of the richest soil in the world, the DRC. But the mining industry, from what I've heard from other people that are in that space, it's become very competitive and saturated, and it's a dirty world. So unless you're willing to put in a lot of money to make a lot of money, it's very hard. And from what I've heard, it's a very cutthroat, dirty world. So you got to be ready to fight dirty. And that's just not the way I do my businesses. I'm very kumbaya. So, but mining is a thing. So I think in mining, if you don't want to be too dirty in it, a good space is trading, right? Like trading is a good one, but you got to do it the right way and hopefully create jobs for local people. That's what I think is really important. Lastly, I would say is tourism. Now, with tourism, it's a hard one. The reason why I say tourism is a hard one is because I'm in the tourist business with Kinspot, and I'm having a very hard time with my app. Now, I realize the issue is I should not have done an app because the market doesn't need the technology. But I've realized when I do it as a service base, so the app is a product, when I do it as a service base, there's a bit more demand. Because let's be honest, it's not like Congo is like Kenya. Like Kenya, so much tourism. You go to freaking Zanzibar, it's all Europeans. Like, I thought it was in Europe. That tells you that the country has a high influx of tourism. Congo, we're not there. Like, we're not there. In order to have a good touristic country, you need infrastructure, you need easy transportation, you need easy payments, you need low corruption. We're not there yet. However, the reason why I think selective tourism is going to be a big one in the next 10 years, it makes complete sense. If you create an environment where you make it easier for people to come into a country, by you, I mean you're the one providing this business, you're the one facilitating the incoming of people, making sure that their transportation, their accommodation is taken care of, and they pay you for it. It's a brilliant thing for a country because tourism is how countries attract investors. It's a no-brainer, right? Like if you want to show investors, hey, come to my country and put money in, what better way to do that than create an environment where when people need to come somewhere, they go through you in order to secure their stay, their lodge, their activities, everything, and those people then become your ambassadors in terms of promoting your country to others, and then it takes off. So these are the industries that I think are definitely a must. They've always been a must, but I think if you're thinking about tapping into these industries, you should. I think people need to stay away from businesses in clothing, in knockoff jewelry, in knockoff makeup. Like, cut that shit out. Sorry for my language, but cut that out. Like, Chinese people are like importing knockoff clothes for like $1, and people like us that are more from the diaspora, we usually shop outside of Congo. Like, we don't shop here. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I just don't trust a lot of the local stuff made here. And when I shop here, I have a tailor that I give luputa pan, and he makes me like custom stuff with traditional material. I am buying no dress here. Like, I'm buying that overseas. So the clothing business, that needs to die. Makeup, I will never buy makeup here when there's Sephora in Toronto. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, you know what I mean? So there's some industries that had their time. It was cute at one point. It ain't cute anymore. Like, my aunt used to import mattresses, and she still does it, and she's broke as hell. I'm like, of course you're broke. It's called Complas. Literally in every corner, there's now mattress shops making mattress locally. So, what? So anyways, thank you for watching, and tune in for the next business Q&A where I will talk about doing a business in agriculture in the DRC. Anyways, I hope this video was helpful. I hope it encourages you to pursue your own business in the DRC, but to be wise about it and to really tap into an industry that's actually in demand so that you can make money. Do it. There's space for all of us. We need more Congolese entrepreneurs. So, bye guys.